I'll take you back to 2019. It is the biggest moment. It's not one moment, it's the biggest moment. It was when Scott Morrison had taken over at the Liberal Party and made that claim Australians were tech adopters, not tech creators, and they were going to have this massive R&D clawback. And almost instantly, any tech company in Australia who had claimed for R&D was put under review. And we had 4 years put under review, of which they rejected everything, created like a $2 million liability to the business to pay back to the ATO. But I actually just thought it was just wrong and incorrect. It coincided though, of course, my husband was diagnosed with cancer. So I had this extra pressure at home and $2 million alone to fight against. But the cash that I expected in that year that we were currently in, which was about $600,000-700,000, we thought we were about to claim and hit our account, as we had successfully for the 9 years prior in business. So I didn't expect this to be a problem. Like, it created such a financial point of pressure. It was like, literally, I don't know how I'm going to make payrolls. I don't know how I'm going to be able to do this. And what does this mean to have this ATO $2 million callback? And yeah, so that was like the worst moment, a personal piece of news that was very confronting, of which you hope after 9 years of being a startup, you've got time for your husband and to be there for him. And, I had this massive issue that I had to unpick and resolve and get to a better place. And I got to, it wasn't give up, but it was just like so overwhelming of what do I do? How do I do this? It was just such a shock. Yeah, it's a good question. Like you said, I can smile now. I was not smiling then. It honestly was the most stressful period of my life and that I can ever remember. But I think because history has always shown me to fight for what I believe in and to go into action, right? So this strong bias towards, I'm not happy with this. What can I do about it? What are my options? And I didn't know. So let's take away, obviously the personal thing was very hard to deal with. And I needed to just literally say to myself, my husband's number one, my business is number two. So when he needs me, I need to be there for him and I need to make that time. And I did just as best I could compress and didn't bring what I was dealing with home. Like I didn't let him know what was going on, just not add one more thing to his part. So it helped me compartmentalize what was going on. And then from the work front, I was just like, I'm just going to speak to as many people as I can to try and work out what are my options here? Because I just felt like I had done everything right. So that was the thing that got me the most. I had done everything right. The intent of the law, it was a clear path from investment to commercialization. These were not in the same years. We had engaged paid consultants to help us. It wasn't like I did this stupidly, blindly, ignorantly, but so it was really hard. And so it was just solving it through first step, curiosity, right? How much can I find out? What are my options? I wanted to really get under the hood of Oz industry and how that worked. I was able to identify a consultant who was ex-Oz industry, who gave me a lot of insight around that. I spoke to a bunch of R&D consultants, all of which everyone got hurt at that point. This is like when Deloitte's R&D, everyone backed away at this same point. But I did find someone who was ex-Oz industry that could help, and then realised that in the end it was my responsibility to go back through every year that they'd clawed back, together with our business, particularly the head of engineering, our CTO, head of product, etc., to really better document to prove we'd done the right thing. Could not afford lawyers, could not afford that approach of that you can apparently take it to a tribunal. I was just like, I'm just going to fight this through the best articulation of we did the right thing. It was in the intent of the law. You've made an incorrect ruling. Allow us to prove it. Give us the time to be able to do it. So I did have to invest, remembering I had no cash, but on this, I will pay you consultants for helping me, but let's see how much we can claw back in this period. Went into very active very tight financial management of the business at that time, invoked the Freedom of Information Act, who actually made this ruling, what was the time, and I was able to discover that it was someone who was just non-technical. She was actually an ex-lawyer, and she spent about 15 minutes going through, and there was documentation even saying the language Ruby was a known language, and so therefore it wasn't R&D. We didn't claim we created Ruby, right? It's just part of what you're doing. It was just someone who's non-technical. So we were able to use that information to be able to create like a very strong case to go back to be reassessed. And in the meantime, we worked very hard to prove that we were right in that situation. And I also went to media. I made sure I was very critical. I went to the ATO board. Like I thought I'll just be the most difficult person under the sun to prove how unfair when you are as a founder trying to do the right thing. You've employed, I think at that point we had about 50 employees, paying salaries, like doing what a good founder should do, and claiming R&D for its intent to create some great technology that was going to be exported and create jobs. I just couldn't understand it. And so I think just honestly what got me through, Adam, was I just fought hard, used my brain, got as much information and argued the principle of what's right and learned through that process how to get through it. It took us 3.5 years though before we got ruling. And it actually ended up being 85-90% in our favour. We didn't have to repay that, and we only had a small amount that we had to repay. And then we organised like a payment plan, so it didn't tax us greatly. And then the rest of my time, I just went really heavily into sales. Okay, what can I control? I need more revenue to fill this gap. How do I do that? It doesn't matter whose job it is. It's my job. But yeah, I want my company to survive. I don't want to have done all of this for nothing. So I don't know, it's bloody mindedness, Adam. It's determination. It's an action bias to just not dwell, don't get stuck, but move into that action mode.